Hello everyone, welcome to this video series on Java Technologies Lab. In this video, we are going to look at program number 12. So, what is the aim of this program is to implement a struts application. Okay, so first of all, before going to discuss about what is struts, we have to know about something called as MVC. So, MVC means Model View Controller. So what is this MVC is? It is actually a pattern uh, which is used for creating web applications. Okay. So what is the pattern? So generally, when you are developing different applications, you will come across different situations or scenarios that will repeat. Okay. So a scenario in one project will repeat in some other project again. Okay. So whatever you are doing uh, in that particular scenario in project one, you will do the same thing for the same scenario in project two. Okay. So all these common things that are repeating across different projects is called a pattern, right? So whenever the same situation occurs in different projects, you will apply the same solution. Those solutions are called as patterns. So you can see the definition of a pattern. So a pattern is a set of guidelines that the developer or programmer can use to create or design the web application. Not only web application, it can be a GUI application or any other kind of application. Okay, so a pattern is a set of guidelines that you have to follow. Okay, and what is a framework is the framework offers different classes or libraries to enforce the pattern. Okay, so a framework will provide you with a set of classes or libraries, that is some utilities. And what is the job of those classes or libraries is to enforce the guidelines which are being specified by a pattern, right? So it basically forces the framework will force the developers to follow the pattern, right? And one such pattern or framework is called MVC. Okay. So whenever we are talking about MVC framework, that means there are some classes or libraries in that framework which will um, guide the developer to follow the MVC pattern. Okay, right. So you can see here what is the use of a framework is it eases the development effort which is put up by the developers. And what are the famous examples of MVC frameworks that are available in Java is one is Struts, the first version, and Struts 2, version 2, and Java server phases, Wicket, and there are so many others. Okay, so all these things are examples of Java MVC frameworks. Okay, I hope you are all clear with what is MVC and what is a pattern and what is a framework. Now let's proceed. Um, so it is also important to know this thing, which is the different types of logic. So we have mainly three types of logic. So first one is presentation logic, that is the code which contains different elements in the web page and also the different rendering aspects. Okay, so ultimately what is presentation logic is what the user sees on the web browser when the user requests a particular page or some other resource. Okay, for example, whenever you type google.com, you will see a Google search page, right? So whatever you are seeing on the web browser for google.com, that is presentation logic. Okay, and the second type of logic is called business logic. So what is the business logic deals with? It deals with the data access logic or any other server side processing logic. For example, you can have validation. Okay, validation logic, or the code that you use for validation. Okay, so for example, if you take the previous example of google.com, so whenever you see the search page, you will type some search query, right? The thing you want to search. So whenever you type a search query and you click submit or search, uh, some processing will happen on the Google servers, right? So that kind of logic is called as business logic. And the last one is control logic. So what does this code deal with is it deals with the invocation of the business or presentation logic. So whenever the user types some URL, what should be executed? Is it the business logic or is it the presentation logic? Okay, which page should be invoked? That kind of logic is called as control logic. Okay, so these are the three types of logic: presentation logic, business logic, and control logic. Now, um, let's see the situation where all the three entities, that is the model, the controller, the view, all these three things are represented by the same servlet. Okay, yeah, before going to talk about this, uh, let me say this presentation logic is nothing but your view. Okay, the business logic is model. Okay, and the control logic is represented by the controller component. Okay, so the presentation logic is represented by the view, business logic is represented by the model, and control logic is represented by the controller. Right? Okay, now let's see this. So here this servlet represents all three things. Okay, model, view, controller. So all the three types of logic are within the one servlet or multiple servlets. Okay, now the process flow is like this: the user requests some kind of resource, okay, which will be accepted by the servlet, and then the servlet will contact the database to retrieve the data, and the database will send the data back to the servlet, and finally the servlet will send back the response to the user. So this is what happens in the case of a monolithic servlet. So monolithic means all the types of logic is within one servlet only. Okay, now let's see an extension to the previous thing. Here we have the controller, okay, the controller component and view component within the servlet, and we have a separate model here. Okay, so the model is represented using beans, Java beans. Okay, and the control logic and view logic are available within the servlet. Okay, now let's see the process flow. Now the user requests data, and the servlet will get this request, and it will forward the request to the bean class, and the bean class, the Java bean class will send the request to the database, and the database will send back the data to the bean, and finally the bean will forward the response to servlet, and the same response will be forwarded to the user. Okay, so this is the case in which we will use servlets and beans. And let's see the final thing where we have the servlet, we have a bean class, and we have a new thing called JSP. Okay, now let's see the process flow. So the user requests the data which will be caught by the servlet. The servlet will forward the data to bean. The bean will send the request to the database, and the database will send back the response to bean. Now the bean class will forward the response to JSP, and this JSP will send back the response to user. Okay, now here in this situation we have servlets, JSPs, and Java beans. Okay, so the servlet represents the controller, the bean class represents the model, and the JSP deals with the view. So here we have the model, view, controller, MVC. Okay, so this is how the MVC works in case of Java by using servlets, JSP, and Java beans. Okay, now why do we need to use different types of logic and different types of components like model, view, controller, right? So the first thing is to separate the development of different types of logic. Okay, that means a person who knows only JSP can work with view component. Okay, a person who knows only simple Java logic, that person works with model. Okay, and the person who knows only servlets, that person will work only with controller. Okay, they don't care about the remaining things. Okay, and this provides easier maintenance. So for example, whenever the presentation logic should change, it is enough to change the JSP page. No need to change the servlets and no need to change the Java beans code. Okay. Similarly, whenever you need to change the controller logic, you just need to change the servlet page. Okay. And this MVC pattern allows or provides loose coupling. Okay. So the dependencies between all the three components is very less. Okay, that is the changes you make in one component does not affect the other components. Okay, so for example, if you need to change the data access component, which is the model, you just need to change the Java beans code. Okay, no need to interfere with the JSP or servlets. Now all these things will allow for faster development. Okay, now let's talk about struts 2. So this is what we are going to do in our project. So Struts 2 is a Java MVC for a framework. Okay. So I already discussed what is meant by a framework and what is meant by a pattern. Right. So what is Struts 2 means? It's simply a Java MVC framework which allows the developer to create web applications by using the MVC pattern or MVC model. We have discussed all these things until now. So you should be familiar with these things. Okay. Now let's see what are the main components in the Struts 2 framework. So we have something called as interceptors, and we have the very important struts XML file, and we have something called as action classes, and then we have the view component, which are JSPs. Okay, so let me write. You can think of this action class as model. Although the actual model is this business classes, that is business service classes, but we can say action class is also a model. Okay, and this JSP will serve as view. Okay, and this interceptor will be, mm, I mean, we should not write like this. These things are what controller. Okay, you can think of your struts.xml also as controller. So all the both these two things can be thought of as your controller, the action class as model, and the JSP as view. Okay. So whenever the user sends the request, okay, along with some parameters like username and password, okay, the interceptor will gather these details. That is the data you have sent along with the request. That is username and password, it will make them accessible to the action class. Okay, so whatever data you are sending through the request, the interceptors will take the data, that is grab the data, and it will make them available for action class and these business classes, so you can process that data. Okay, now this action class will contact one or more business classes, and these business classes will contact the database if needed. Okay, all applications does not need database. Okay, only some applications need database, so the business service classes will access the data in the database. Okay, and then forward the response to JSP, and ultimately this JSP will be sent back as a response to the user. Okay, so this is what happens in struts 2 framework. So as far as our experiment goes, no need to worry about interceptors. So we are not going to talk about interceptors, although they are available by default. Uh, we are going to look at the action class. Okay, and we are going to look at the JSP, and also we are going to look at struts XML file. Okay, so what is the use of struts XML file is, it maps the request, the user request, to a particular action class. Okay, and also it maps the action classes to JSPs. So this mapping between the request to the action class and the action class to the JSP is provided by struts XML file. Okay, now something about struts XML file. So what is the use of it? Struts to XML file is, it controls the execution flow of requests. Just now I have explained you what is this, and then it maps the URLs, that is the request, to corresponding action classes, and also it maps URLs to the corresponding JSP pages. So this file just provides some mapping. Okay, so when a user visits some URL, which action class should execute. Okay, and based on the result of the action class, which JSP page should be shown to the user. So all these things are taken care by struts to XML file. Okay, and finally, what is the software that is needed is, we need a Java JDK. Okay, I think all of you have already installed this, and then we need to download struts to API. Mm, so let me check and show you this. So open Google and type Apache Struts. Okay, just type Apache Struts and hit enter. So the first link will be this one, welcome to Apache Struts project. Click this, and here you have a big blue button which is showing download. Click this, and at the top you will see struts 6.1.2 or something like this. Don't bother with this, go down. Now you will see struts 2.5.x, something like this, and immediately you will see something called full distribution. Okay, under full distribution you will see this link. Okay, so download this. Okay, you will get a zip file, right? So I have already downloaded this, and let me show you the file that I have downloaded. uh, Struts, this one. Okay, so this is the file you will get, struts 2.5 point whatever version it is, and it will say all. Okay, so this is the file you will get when you download this link. Okay, now just right click this and click extract. Okay, just extract the zip file, and you will get a folder like this, struts folder. Now just open this folder, and you will have different folders and files in this. The thing that is important for us is lib folder. So you can open the lib folder and you will see so many jar files in this. So many jar files will be there. Now to execute our project, we don't need all these files. We need only some of the files. I will tell you what are those files in a few minutes. Okay. So that's all. This is how you download the Struts API. Just close this. Okay. Now the third one we need is Apache Tomcat server, and please be careful for working with Struts version 2. You need Tomcat version 9 and higher. Oh, not higher. You need only the version 9. You should not use version 10. Okay. You should use only version 9. Right. So again, I think all of you know how to download Apache Tomcat. It is already shown in one of the previous videos. So I have shown how to download Apache Tomcat version 10. You need to download version 9. So let me quickly show you how to download Apache Tomcat 9. Apache Tomcat. Okay. So click this link. Here you have on the left hand side Apache Tomcat version 9. Click that, and if you go down, you will have the Windows version. You can download this and you install it. That's all. Okay. So that is all the software that you need. You need a Java JDK, you need Struts API, and you need Apache Tomcat version 9. Now let's see how to create it Struts 2 application using Eclipse. Okay. Now let's see the steps. So I will follow these steps parallelly using Eclipse. So let me bring the Eclipse. Okay, so here we have the Eclipse. So the first step is to create a dynamic web project. Okay, and select the target runtime as Apache Tomcat version 9. Okay, so first what you need to do is, after installing Apache Tomcat version 9, you have to add it in the servers panel. So here I have already added Tomcat version 9 in the server panel. Okay, I think you already know how to add a server because I have already told this process in previous video. So let's create the dynamic web project. Click on file menu, click new, click dynamic web project. Okay, give some project name. So I am giving my struts app. My struts app. Okay, so you can see here the target runtime must be Apache Tomcat version 9. So if you don't see this, you have to click new runtime and you have to follow the process of adding an Apache runtime. Okay, you click this and you do the rest of the thing. I already explained this entire process in one of the previous videos, so follow that. Okay, now let's come back to the PowerPoint. So select the target runtime as Apache Tomcat version 9 and leave the dynamic web module version as 4. Okay, so what is the meaning of that means? Uh, okay, so this one. Dynamic web module version should be left as 4. Okay, and so let me see. Okay, so and the last thing you need to take care is um, okay. So after leaving this version as 4.0, you need to check the option generate web.xml deployment descriptor. So let's see how to do this. Okay. Mm, so coming back to Eclipse, so I have given some name to the project. Runtime is version 9, dynamic web module is version 4, and you have to click on next button here instead of finish. So click on next. Okay, you will see this. Don't change anything here. Click next, and here you will have some option called generate web.xml deployment descriptor. By default, this is unchecked. You have to check it. Okay, so you have to check it and click finish. So that's all. This is the first step. So in this step, we have just created a project. So here is the project my struts app. Now let's see the next one. Second step. So right click Java resources. That means this folder. So under my struts app, you will have a folder called Java resources. So right click that folder, select new, select source folder. So I will do that. Right click Java resources, new, source folder. Okay. Now let's see what should we do here. Now the project name field, select the project that you have created in step 1. So in the previous step we have created a project now, so you have to select that project name. So let's do that. So project name, browse. The project that I have created is my struts app. Okay. Okay, now let's go back to the PowerPoint and view the folder name as src main resources. Okay, so let's do this. So the folder name should be given as browse, not browse. You can directly type it src main resources. Okay, you just type this and click finish. Okay, so this folder is created src main resources. That is step 2. Okay, now step 3. Now you click the resource, right click the resources folder, that is this folder, and you select new, other, XML file, and you give the name of the XML file as struts.xml. So this is a very important file. So let's see. Right click the resources folder, new, other. Okay, type XML. So select the XML file and click next. Okay, here you have to give the name as struts.xml and click finish. Okay, so you will get a new struts.xml file under src main resources. Okay, now what you have to do here is, so the next step is copy the given code into struts.xml file. So in the video description, you will get a link to the code for the entire project. So whatever is given under struts.xml, you just copy that code into here. Okay, so you have to copy this code. So this is the code that goes into struts.xml file. Okay, so just delete this and just paste the code. Okay, so I will explain this entire thing in a few minutes. So before that, let's follow the procedure. So we are done with up to step 4. Now step 5 is open web.xml file, which is available at the location src main web app webinf folder. Okay, so it is available in src main web app uh, webinf. So here we have the src main web app webinf, and here is the web.xml file. So double click this file. So by default you will have this code here. Okay, so I am deleting this code, and you just copy paste the code which I have provided. So this is the code that goes into web.xml file. So copy this and paste it. Okay, so the new thing that we have added here is these lines. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are adding a filter. Okay, the filter we are adding is struts2, and the corresponding class file is this one. Okay, so the filter that we are using is this one, struts prepare and execute filter, which is available in this package. So this is the package name and this is the actual filter. Okay, and below the filter tag, before the filter I mean after the filter tag, you have to write filter mapping tags. Okay, so what you are doing here actually is you are mapping all the requests of your web application to struts2 filter. Okay, so this filter name and this filter name should match, they should be same. Okay, otherwise it will not work. So what we are doing by writing this code is we are mapping all the requests of the web application to go through struts2. Okay, if you don't write these tags, your struts2 framework will not work. Okay, so just save the file. Right, now let's go to the next step. So this is over. Now right click the project, click on properties. So let's do this. uh, right click the project, click on properties, this one, this is the properties. Now let's see what we should do. Go to Java build path. So this is the Java build path, this one. Okay, now click on libraries. So this is the libraries tab. So we have several tabs here. Click on libraries and click on class path. So here is the class path. Click on add library. So here we have add library. Now select user library. So this one, select user library. Mm, click next. Okay, now click on user libraries. Right, so here you are actually seeing struts2 because I have already added this library to one of my previous projects, so that's why you are seeing. So in your case, if it is your first time, you will not see this. Okay, then what you should do is you have to click on user libraries. Okay, now you click on new. So again, this is coming from my previous project, you will not see this, you have to click on new. Now here give struts 2. Okay, since I have already added it, that's why it's showing an error, it is already exists. So in your case it will not show this error, you have to click on OK. Since I have already created it, I am clicking cancel. Okay, then what you have to do is this thing is over, give the name and click on OK. You have to select struts2 and click on add external jars. That means you have to select this and you have to click this one, add external jars. Now you are seeing all these jar files, right? So I have already shown you. You will download the struts2 API, which is available in this folder. You will have lib folder. So inside this lib, you will have all these jar files. Okay, I already told you, you will not use all these things. You will select only some of these things. Now let's see what are those. Okay, so next step, yeah. Now you have to add these jar files here. Okay, so you have commons file upload, commons IO, commons lang, commons logging. So let's see, click on add external jars. Mm, let's see, file upload, IO, lang, logging. File upload, IO, lang. Okay, there are two versions of lang. So latest version and logging. 4 files are selected and free marker, Java assist, free marker, Java assist OGNL struts to core OGNL struts to core and log4j API. Mm, log4j API. Now you have to select these things and you have to click on open. Okay, that's all. So you will see all those things here. Click on apply and close. Okay, now you have to select here and click finish. Okay, now it is added here to the class part, right? So I have done this just now. You have to click on apply and close. Sorry, this is not the step. This is a different step. Mm, okay, so click on apply and close. Right. Now step 8 is you have to right click the project. Again you select the properties, right click the project, select the properties. Now you have to click on deployment assembly. So here is the deployment assembly on top of Java build path. Okay, you can click on apply. Mm. So this is what you will see, web deployment assembly. Now what you need to do is you have to click on add. Click on add here. Okay, select Java build path entries, this one. Click on next, that is this one. Okay, select struts 2, that is which we have added just now, struts 2, and click on finish. Okay, so you will see this one, right? Finish, click on apply, and finally click on apply and close. Apply, apply and close, right? Now right click on the project, select new and select JSP file and name it as success.jsp. So right click project, new, JSP file, name the file as success.jsp. Click on finish. Okay, so remove this code and copy paste the code which I have provided. So this is the success.jsp code, paste, save. Okay, so this step is completed. Now create another JSP file called error.jsp. So right click, new, JSP file, error.jsp, finish. Now again remove this code and paste the provided code for error.jsp. Okay, save. Right. Now step 11, right click project, new, select class and give the name of the class as my action and click OK. Now what we are doing in step 11 is we are creating the action class. Okay, so right click project, new, class and give the name as my action. Okay, finish. Okay, remove this code and copy paste the code that I have provided, which is this, paste. Okay, so in the action class you will have only one method which is called execute method, and this execute method returns back a string which is success. Okay, so what is this execute method doing? It is printing the uh, text hello struts, and it is also returning back a string called success. Okay. mm, let's go back to the PPT. So I have done this step just now. Now click on project, run, run on server, select Tomcat 9 and click on finish. Okay, so let's do this. Click on project, run as, run on server, select the Tomcat 9 and click finish. Now let's see what happens. So the server will take some time to start. Okay, right, right. Now we are seeing an error message called HTTP status 404. So this is a 404 error page. So don't worry. Uh, you can see here, even though you are seeing a HTTP 404 error page, at the end of the URL include get message dot action and press enter key. So now we have to enter this at the end of the URL get message dot action. So this is the URL. You enter get message dot action. Okay, and hit enter. Okay. Let's see what happens. Okay. Now it is saying welcome to Struts 2 framework. So your Struts 2 application has executed successfully. Okay. You will see success.jsps output. So that is what you are seeing here. So this is the code that we have written in the success2.jsp. So let me show you success.jsp. So this is what is being displayed there. Welcome to Struts2 framework. So now let me explain you what is happening when we are executing the application. So first of all, whenever we are running the application, it will come to web.xml. Okay. Now it will search, it will scan these things, and these are the index files, and then it will scan this filter settings. Okay. So it will see that there is a struts2 filter, and it will see that all the requests are being mapped to struts2. Then it will send the control to struts.xml. Okay. So that's why I'm saying this file is very important, right? Okay, now let's see what is there in the struts file. So the main tags that you find here are struts. Okay, so this is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. So inside the struts tag you will see a set of package tags. Okay, now the package will have some attributes. So one attribute is name, which says it's a default package, and you can remove this if you need namespace. And there is one important tag called extends, which says struts default. Okay, so within the package tag you will have action tags. So here action name is get message, and the corresponding class that should be executed is my action. Okay, now if you see here, I told you to give at the end of the URL get message, right? So what is this actually is whatever we are specifying here. So if I have written ABC here, you have to give ABC here. Okay, so that's why this should be same get message. So whenever we type this in the URL, which action class should execute, that we specify here my action. So here we have a my action.java, so this code will execute. Okay, now within the action tags we have another tag called result result tags. So we have declared two result rows. One is this, second one is this. So in case if the um, corresponding message is success, we are executing success.jsp page. Otherwise, if the message is failure, we are executing error.jsp. Okay, that is mm, that is what we are having here. So that is the importance of this return success. Okay. Now there is one more output called hello struts. This will be printed in the console. Actually, we didn't see that. So here is the thing, hello struts. If you want, you can remove this line. This is not needed. Okay, so only for just printing purpose we are using this, but this is important. Whenever you return success, so in that case, what should happen is, mm, in case of success, we need to execute success.jsp. That's why you are seeing this message, welcome to Struts 2 framework, which is the output of success.jsp. This one. Okay. Now I think I am clear with what is the purpose of all these tags here. Okay. So the struts.xml file is very important. It provides the mapping between the URL, and the action class, and also it provides the mapping between the action and JSP. Okay. I think remaining code is already explained. So that's it. So this is how you configure and execute struts to application. Thank you.